Alright, what's up guys, it's Zero here, and today we are here to finally take a look at a set 10 deck. And the first one we take a look at is Gear Chronicle. So this was the deck that I was most excited to build for set 10, and big surprise I haven't done. But overall, I think this deck definitely got a lot of improvements, but I don't think it's top meta threat or anything like that. But regardless, we'll take a look at this deck today. So without further ado, here is the list. So quite a bit of changes compared to the set 8 version of the deck. So start off, starter, I'm still playing Chrono Dran. I still think Chrono Dran is the best starter for the deck right now at the moment. Do you know what Dran does? GB1 is unit is binded during your turn, put into your soul and call a Graith, call a Graith or Chrono Dran from deck, and then that unit gets at the end of the battle attacked or end of the turn, or get bounced back to your hand. The reason we play Dran is because he's a 0, meaning your just like before with Fate Rider for your first ride, Dran is part of a very easy one card time leap play that ends up being a +1, +2 depending on how you look at it. But it just makes your first ride turn very fluid. We'll get over that play when we go over the strat that actually enables it, being the Split Pegasus. So just know that Dran is really crucial for your very first ride turn. There definitely is another way you can do it with the Dran G, but I'm personally not a fan of it, and I personally think that that playing the OG Dran gives you a better and more consistent first ride turn to just get you easy double intercept. So that's why I am personally still playing the original Chrono Dran. Grade 1s, Force Stride Fodder, not you, for the Stride Fodder, Stride Fodder and Switch Jet. There are 5 jets in deck now. But more often than not, if you're using this to search, you're probably searching Jet G, because Jet G is your main ride. The one of Jet is just here for crossover purposes, as well as sometimes being like your 5th ride target, having to find it. So that's why Stride Fodder still needed. So 4 Stride Fodder. One of her, she's a Steam Maiden. I know that much. I don't know her actual name, but her skill is on play. You can choose 1 card from your drop zone and put it back into your deck, and then at the start of your opponent's turn, they can choose to do the same thing, and if they do, you CC 1. If they don't, you don't CC 1. You just put a card back. So this card is nice because it is a recycle. The recycle we were playing before was the Tickaway, but you can't play. But Tickaway just comes a little too awkward now because Tickaway is really good in multiples, but this deck really needs its deck space for this grade 1. The Nepal, I think is her name, but the deck really needs a space for that, and because of the fact that we can't play multiples of the Tickaway anymore, leaping into the Tickaway makes it super awkward to actually get its timing up. With the Nepal does the Tickaway is on when something gets played off of time leap, but because you're time leaping into it, you'd have to time leap another way after that, and this deck doesn't really do that. Doesn't do that too often. You'd have to hit a trigger for the Ugo Uro to actually do that. So just because of the timing on that, it's a little awkward. This card is also cool because if you time leap it and it comes back to the end of the turn, you can do her skill again because it's an on-play skill, doesn't matter where it's from. So I think this card is just better for the role of being your recycler now, compared to Tickaway. So that's why personally I'm playing her. Again, she's only a 1-of just because of space issues. I think if you wanted to play more, you'd probably cut down on a Stride Fodder or something, but I personally value the consistency of the Stride Fodder a little bit more, so that's why I only play 1 of it. But if you're really scared of damaging the 1-of, then definitely cut down on a Stride Fodder and play a second one. I do think that if you draw, I do think drawing it is fine, because drawing means you can still have access to it. Just so you can damage it, it really sucks. This is your main leap target from the Dran on first try. So yeah. So yeah, she's also part of that combo. So yeah, really nice there. Next up, for Nepalis, her skill is if your Van is a ZTB. So you know what, ZTB is the new trait for or I guess not trait. I guess it'd be a race for this deck. Is the main focus of it. So see here, that race there is ZTB. His unit gets Intercept, and it can intercept from the back row, so that's pretty nice there. Meaning, this deck is another deck that can just put out a bunch of intercepts and make your opponent deal with it. Screws over the multi-attack decks, very nice. So this card is very good, and you mainly play it because the skill is very good, but mainly play it because it is your best grade 1 CTP target. So yeah, this card very nice. Unfortunately, she did get nerfed from the TCG. In the TCG, she had an extra line of text that says if this unit is in rest, it gets resist as well. That would have been really cool for this card to have that in 0, but what can you do? This card is still very good for what it is, but it could have been better, let's just say that. And finally, we have the new PG with Arca. She is also a ZTB, so in emergencies you can call her out, but her skill is Drop Zone, GB2, bind a copy, another copy of herself, and a and a grade 3 ZTV, I think, or a ZTV with the trigger. So bind itself, another copy of itself, and a ZTV with a trigger to add itself from draw one back to hand and then discard a card. So it is not a +1, it is a break even, but you do get to trade a card in your hand for a PG. And then since you binded a copy of itself, you do cool things with Honglong to add the PG, bind it back to your hand. So this card by itself could set up a potential 2 PGs to hand play, which is really nice. So definitely the best PG to play for the deck right now, mainly because its second effect is actually relevant, and the fact that it has EVD trait, meaning on emergency cases, for split Pegasus you can call it out. So it's very nice there. That's grade 1s. Grade 2s, we are playing 3 Glimmer Breaths. On play, Soul Blast 1, CB1, if Vanguard to Jet. You can spin over one of those triggers and give itself +2. Sometimes I really wish I did have 4, but honestly speaking, you don't have the soul to use that many, so I think 3 is probably a good enough amount to play. But Glimmer does end up being the MVP a lot of times, because whenever you're on Jet G, you don't have any way, realistically speaking, to spin your opponent's front row rears without calling a Glimmer or something. So Glimmer Breath is definitely an MVP of this deck, despite it being completely off trade, just being like a standalone thing of itself. But being a slow attacker and a spin when your Vanguard no longer spins for basically free is very, very nice to have, and I definitely think this card deserves at least 3 spots in this deck. Next up, we have 3 History Maker. When this unit attacks, a Van, CB1, time to go in your other rears. This card is the very iffy card of the deck for me. I think this card is very nice for your kill extensions, but when you're not at that point in the game, History Maker is basically a 9k vanilla, which kind of sucks. But I do think this deck is lacking enough in kill pressure that you do need the History Maker to extend your kill line sometimes. It doesn't come out too often, but it comes up often enough that you definitely want copies of this card in your deck somewhere. And I do think 3 is a good amount because of the timing where you need the card. You need this card super late game, not early game. So you really need to make sure that you don't like lose all the copies out of your deck super early in the game. So yeah. So 3 Stream Makers. Next up, new grade 2s, 4 Ugo Udos. I think I'm saying her name right, but her skill is if your Van, when this unit attacks a Van, if your Van is a ZTV, it gets +2, so it's a solo attacker. And then GB1, when you drive check a grade 3 ZTB, you can Soul Blast 1 to Timely per self. So this basically reads if you drive check a grade 3 ZTB, you can reset itself and swing again. So it's like a very, very simple turn would be like rear, swing, you drive check a grade 3, you would Timely per self into another grade 3, and then get an extra swing like that. So very good card here. Again, ZTB trait very relevant, but this card being a solo attacker as well as being an attack extender is also very, very good at that as well. So definitely for this. And finally, 3 of the Peacock. Its skill is when this unit is placed from deck. From deck, it gains the skill. This unit cannot be put back to the deck by any effects until then for the turn. So basically, this card reads if you time leap into it, it will not go back to the deck, which is really cool. But this card also has very cool interaction with Split Pegasus, being that if you target this card with Split Pegasus for its effect, you know what Split Pegasus does? Very brief rundown is that you choose one of your cards and put it back into your deck and choose 2 ZTBs with grade -1 to the card you put back and call them to board. So a really cool interaction with this card is that you can target this card with Split Pegasus. This card will not go back to the deck, so you get to keep it, and then you get to call 2 grade 1s from your deck. So you turn Split Pegasus from a +1 to a +2 with this card, is I think a really cool interaction. So definitely worth playing. But realistically speaking, you only play it because you don't have any other good ZTBs in your deck. I definitely think Ugo Oodle is not, just 4 of Ugo Oodle is not enough. I've tried Chrono Beat Buffalo. That card kind of sucks, just an 11k beat stick. But this card can give you extra value out of your Split Pegasus. So I think just because of that, this card is probably the better slot to play. So yeah, 3 of this card, and that's it for grade 2s. For triggers, 4 heal guards, or heal guards, 1 old jet. Mainly, again, it's here for a 5th ride target, but it is also needed for crossover because it needs 2 jets with different names. So this is your second name. 4 Chrono whatever. This is the tiger. Its skill is basically irrelevant. The second skill is like a ride fix skill for the other tiger, which you're not playing. Other skills, at the end of the attack soul last one, bind one of your other rears and choose one of your opponent's rear guards the same column as it and bot deck it. Basically irrelevant because you don't want to be binding your own rears for 1. You don't have the soul to use the skill for 2. So this card is only really played because it has ZTB trait or a race. This can be any other ZTB, in my opinion, can be any other ZTB grade 3 here. Your other choices would be the other Chrono Fang, right? It'd be the other Chrono Fang. And there's a grade 3 that does what it basically does. Another grade 3 that's an on-hit CB1 to bot deck something. So on-hit Divan. So I only picked this card because this card has a second effect that might come up every once in a while. The advantage to the other Chrono Fang is that it is a serviceable second. It is a okay ult ride, but still not good. And then the other one I think is the worst one, the on-hit CB1. You don't even bring a CB for no reason. So I'm only playing this because I think this is the least bad grade 3 ZTB in the deck. So that's that. And again, if you don't know why, if you can't figure out why you need grade 3 ZTB, it's because of the Ugo Uro. She is your main extender on your first and sometimes second stride turn. So having grade 3 ZTBs is very, very important in this deck. And finally, also a grade 3 ZTB is the Current Dragon G. Jet G is your main ride. First skill is power. Second skill, when a ZTB or a Gear Dragon strides on top of it, you can play down a card from your hand and then tally something. So this card lets you fix your hand, fix your board, all that good stuff. Very, very important. This is by far your best ride. Being on Jet seems like it's better. OG Jet seems like it's better because it lets you spin, lets you push for more damage. But this card like fixes your hand state, fixes your board. It's just too useful in my opinion for its utility. So especially since the fact that Jet G is free. So yeah, that's it for triggers. G Zone. So I'll go over all the old cards first. One of Chronos Command, one of Fate Rider, and one of Upheaval. So Chronos Command comes up sometimes just as a board wipe. Doesn't come too often, but it's there. Usually it's just ride fodder, or flip fodder, but occasionally it comes up, so that's pretty cool. Fate Rider honestly lost its role in the deck. It used to be your best ride, but Split Pegasus basically just completely took over its role for what it does. So again, Fate Rider usually just ends up being flip fodder again. Upheaval is mainly here just to deal with multi-intercepts because you don't really have the best ways to spin stuff anymore. And you can like clear out, you can like spin the back row great intercepts and hope they don't come back as back row intercepts. So it's there. Also deals with resist, but that isn't really that big of an issue in my opinion anymore. And it deals with Jingle Furia. So still a very nice one-of option to have. If you don't think it's useful in the matchup, you just flip it up with Split Pegasus. To next stage, this is still probably your most explosive finisher. I think this card really sucks if you're on Jet G and you have no way to spin the intercepts, because otherwise it's just 2 big swings. Your second swing doesn't even guard tricked anymore. So just because of that, I think this card isn't too amazing. And deck out is also sometimes an issue with this deck. So you don't go into him too often, but you don't want to not have him because sometimes he does come up and he will win you a game. So there's that. To Metallica Phoenix, I think this is probably now your best finisher, just because it's very cost efficient and it doesn't, and you don't care too much if they have too many intercepts on the board, because as long as you can swing face, that's fine. You can just go like rear, you can just swing here, swing with this, call leap into a history maker that can get you like 3-4 swings potentially. So Metallic Phoenix, pretty good for that. We played a second copy just because sometimes we only have one CB to work with, so you want to unflip it with having a second copy. So that's why we are playing 2. And occasionally, sometimes we just do it twice, but very rarely is that the case. Usually the second copy is just here for flip fodder, so you can make this be CB, so you can refund the cost, so you can use more CB during that turn. One Honglong, at the end of battle attack, CB1, choose a grade 1 or higher card from Bind Zone, either add it, hand, or call it. So again, this can be really cool in conjunction with the PG. You can turn the PG into a add 2 PGs to hand play, or you can just use them as an attack extender. You can, like, if you like preemptively binded a history maker, you can with like a Jet G skill, you can like bind it and then call it back out and extend with it like that. So it's pretty cool. So Honglong is definitely worth its one slot in the deck in my opinion. And finally, the new GR. We'll go over the less important one first. We'll go over the Crossover Dragon. So this skill is on play. You can choose 2 jets with different names or drop them and put them back to the bottom of your deck. So lets you actually have jet names in your deck. So that's why with this cycle skill, I think playing the 1 is fine. The one extra name is fine. And then GB3, if your heart is a Chrono Jet, CB2 to get a crit and call 2 jets from your deck with different names and call them to rear, and then they get the following ability. On hit Divan, choose put itself and another rear with Chrono Jet into your soul to restand your Van and draw 3. So this card is very cool because it is a Van reswing with crit, and it lets you draw 3 cards. That's good or bad depending on how you look at it. You can look at it as draw 3 being a +3, or you can look at it as potential deck out. So, but this card is really nice because if you just have a Glimmer Breath and then you use a skill, you can go like rear to rear. If they're at 4, you can go like Van to face. You PG check them, the other jet goes in. You suck them both in, you restand it, you draw 3, and you got a 2 crit Van again. So just with this card, you can just get like 2 big Van swings at opponent with crit. So I think just because of that, crossover is actually like not that bad. I think having the 1 is actually pretty nice for the G zone because it gives you like a pretty explosive turn up from your opponents at 4. I think it's pretty cool. So that's one of, but the real star of this deck now is the Split Pegasus. So its skill is it even has the G zone effect. G zone for every it gives your front row DTBs +1 K if it's face up in your G zone. So the more you have, the more power they get. And then once per turn, if your heart, I think like if your heart's DTB, but as long as you're in the Jet G, this doesn't matter. CB1, flip anything in your G zone face up, so it's not even a G flip. Technically, you can get away with 2, but I play 3 just because sometimes you want to flip the copy yourself on first strike just to get more power on your front row. CB1, put G flip and choose one of your reads and put it back to the bottom of your deck, and choose up to 2 ZTBs from your deck and call them equal to grade -1 from the card you put back. So if you put a 3, you can call 2 2s. If you put a 2, you can call 2 1s. So the most common play you do on first stride is you leap the Dran to call the Recycler. You can use the Recycler to put something back, and then you use Dran skill to call either one of your jets, doesn't matter because it goes back to your deck and then goes back to your deck anyways. And then you split Pegasus, the jet that you called, into your deck for 2 grade 2s. You can call 2 Ugo Urals, you can call like 1 Peacock, 1 Ugo Ural, however you want to do it. So that's like a very fluid first stride turn. You recycle a piece or a trigger back to your deck, and you get 2 easy intercepts on the board, all for the price of CB1. And you get fuel soul, so you have more soul to use for Ugo Ural, and the Glimmer Breath because of the Dran. So yeah. So and then afterwards on your the second time you use it, usually you put a 2 back, so you can grab 2 of these, so you make your opponent have to deal with multiple intercepts. So that's pretty cool there too. But yeah, that's it for this deck. Some games for you guys as per usual. Tell me what you guys think about this deck down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.